The ancient observatory drifted through the cosmic darkness, like a forgotten monument to civilizations long past. Within its crystalline halls, the Galactic Assembly convened under circumstances none had anticipated. Holographic projections flickered across the chamber as delegates from 63 worlds materialized in their designated sectors. The air shimmered with translation matrices, converting the babel of alien tongues into comprehensible thought. Ambassador Tharos of the Keltharian Empire stood at the central podium, his forearms clasped in a gesture that his people reserved for matters of grave importance. His silver carapace caught the ambient light, reflecting patterns that spoke of centuries lived among the stars. The weight of 400 years showed in the deep grooves etched across his face, each line a testament to battles witnessed and civilizations risen and fallen. "Honored delegates," Tharos began, his voice carrying the resonant quality of his species, "I appear before you not as a representative of my empire, but as a keeper of forbidden knowledge. 3 cycles ago, our deep space reconnaissance detected a species expanding beyond their solar cradle. They identify themselves as humanity." A ripple of disinterest passed through the assembly. First contacts occurred with predictable regularity. The galaxy teemed with life, and new species emerged into the interstellar community every few generations. General Vraxis of the Morgathian Collective rose from his position, his chitinous form towering above most delegates. His species had conquered 47 star systems through military supremacy alone. What concern are primitives to this assembly? Do they threaten our borders? Have they violated the Accords? They possess nothing that threatens us militarily, Tharos acknowledged. Their vessels barely achieve 0.3 light speed. Their weapons operate on chemical propulsion. By every strategic assessment, they rank below standard technological benchmarks. "Then you squander our time," Vraxis declared, his mandibles clicking with dismissal. Scattered agreements echoed from various delegations. Tharos remained motionless, letting the objections wash over him. When silence returned, he activated the ancient archive interface. The holographic display shifted, revealing symbols so old they predated the assembly itself. The translation matrices stuttered, struggling to interpret languages that had evolved and died before most present civilizations had discovered fire. Before the Keltharian Empire joined this confederation, Tharos continued, before we reached the stars, before we understood the nature of the cosmos, my ancestors encountered humanity. The records are fragmentary. Time has corroded much. But what remains carries a message my people encoded into every medium available to them. They etched it into temple walls. They wove it into our genetic memory. They built entire monuments to ensure we would never forget. The chamber fell silent. Ancient warnings carried weight in galactic politics. Too many extinct civilizations testified to the cost of ignoring history. Supreme Arbiter Quintus, whose consciousness existed as pure energy within a containment field, pulsed with curiosity. What message warranted such extraordinary preservation efforts? The hologram expanded, filling the chamber with text rendered in hundreds of ancient scripts. Despite the linguistic variety, the translation matrices finally found common meaning. The words appeared in the primary language of each delegate. Never provoke them. They do not yield. They do not forget. They do not stop. Vraxis laughed, the sound like grinding stone. Your ancestors feared creatures they could not comprehend. We have refined warfare into science. We command fleets that could sterilize worlds. What could possibly threaten us from beings who barely escaped their gravity well? Tharos did not rise to the bait. His centuries had taught him the value of patience. The records detail a commercial dispute. A Keltharian merchant vessel accidentally destroyed a human transport. 300 humans perished. Our government offered restitution according to galactic standards. We provided compensation exceeding the value of 100 such vessels. We offered technology, territory, resources beyond measure. A reasonable settlement, Quintus observed. They refused everything, Tharos said quietly. They did not want payment. They wanted accountability. They wanted justice for those 300 individuals, not as a collective loss, but for each specific person who died. Excessive attachment to individual life forms, Raxus noted, typical of primitive species. The humans traced the merchant's flight path, Tharos continued. They learned our language from intercepted communications. They infiltrated our commercial networks. Within 10 years, they had identified everyone involved in the incident and the subsequent cover-up. But they did not stop there. They spent 4 decades building their case. They learned our legal systems, our customs, our traditions. They waited until they understood us completely. The delegates shifted uneasily. The dedication seemed disproportionate to the crime. When they finally acted, they did so through our own legal frameworks. They presented evidence so comprehensive that our courts had no choice but to convict. They pursued not just the merchant, but 17 officials who had hidden the truth. They tracked some across 40 light years. One fugitive hid in deep space for 30 years. The humans found him anyway. The total pursuit lasted 83 years. 83 years, Quintus repeated. For an accident? That is what makes them dangerous, Tharos said. Not their weapons or their ships. Their absolute unwillingness to abandon what they consider right. They outlive grudges. They treat individual deaths as if entire worlds had fallen. My ancestors recorded this pattern across multiple encounters. Small transgressions met with responses that lasted generations. They calculated revenge across centuries. Vraxus drummed his claws against his seat, the gesture conveying skepticism at the warning from Ambassador. Tharos should have resonated through the assembly chambers like a funeral bell. Instead, it dissipated like morning mist under a harsh sun. Within 3 cycles, the Mordathian collective made their decision. General Vraxus stood before his war council, surrounded by holographic displays showing human settlements scattered across 12 systems. They expand into sectors we have designated for resource extraction, Vraxus announced to his officers. Their presence violates our territorial claims established 2 centuries before their species discovered fire. Captain Drexen, a seasoned warrior who had led campaigns across 3 decades, studied the tactical displays with unease. The readings show minimal defensive capabilities. Their orbital platforms use projectile weapons. Their fleet consists of cargo vessels retrofitted with primitive armaments. However, General, perhaps negotiation would prove more efficient than conflict. Vraxus's mandibles clicked with derision. Negotiation implies equality. We are the Mordathian collective. Our empire spans 200 worlds. We have subjugated species far more advanced than these mammals. We will remove them from our territory as one removes an infestation. The attack came without warning. Mordathian battle cruisers emerged from hyperspace above a human colony designated New Hebron. The settlement housed 40,000 civilians, mostly families who had traveled generations to reach this distant world. They were farmers, engineers, teachers, ordinary people building ordinary lives beneath an alien sun. The Mordathian bombardment lasted 17 minutes. Precision strikes destroyed every military installation, every communication relay, every vessel capable of achieving orbit. The colony's governor, a woman named Patricia Okonkwo, managed to transmit a single message before the arrays went dark. This is New Hebron. We are under attack. Unknown hostiles. Casualties mounting. To anyone receiving this, remember us. Remember what happened here. Make them answer for this. When the bombardment ended, 37,000 humans lay dead. The survivors huddled in reinforced shelters, listening to the sounds of Mordathian troops landing above them. General Vraxis observed the operation from orbit, satisfied with the efficiency. Minimal ammunition expended. Acceptable time frame. The humans had offered no significant resistance. Broadcast our terms, Vraxis commanded. They will evacuate all settlements in the disputed sectors within 30 days. Failure to comply will result in additional pacification operations. The message reached Earth 17 days later, carried by an automated probe that had escaped the assault. The reaction in humanity's capital stunned even those who understood their species best. There were no debates about cost-benefit analysis. No discussions about strategic withdrawal. No careful weighing of military capabilities versus probable losses. The response was unanimous and immediate. Every human government, every corporation, every independent colony voted the same way. They would not negotiate. They would not evacuate. They would not forgive. Director Tomas Reeves of the Unified World's Defense Initiative addressed humanity across every settled world. His face appeared on billions of screens, his expression carved from granite. 37,000 of our brothers, sisters, parents, and children are dead, murdered without provocation, without warning, without mercy. The Mordathian collective believes we will retreat because we lack their firepower. They believe our weakness makes us compliant. They have made a fundamental miscalculation about human nature. He paused, letting the silence stretch. When he spoke again, his voice carried a cold certainty that sent chills through those who heard it. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We will not stop until every individual responsible answers for what they have done. Not their government. Not their military. Every single being who pulled a trigger, who gave an order, who enabled this atrocity. We will learn everything about them. We will find them wherever they hide. We will pursue them across decades if necessary. This is not a threat. This is a promise written in the blood of our dead. Across human space, the mobilization began. Factories retooled for war production. Scientists abandoned peaceful research to develop weapons. Volunteers lined up at recruitment centers in numbers that overwhelmed processing systems. But humanity did not rush blindly into battle. They did something that baffled the Mordathian strategists who intercepted their communications. They studied. Human intelligence operatives infiltrated Mordathian space using captured vessels. They learned the language, not just the words, but the cultural contexts, the historical references, the unspoken social rules. They mapped the collective's command structure with obsessive detail. They identified individual officers, tracked their movements, documented their families, their friends, their routines. Captain Drexen reviewed the intelligence reports with growing concern. General, our surveillance has detected unusual human activity. They are not massing fleets. They are not fortifying positions. They appear to be conducting reconnaissance at unprecedented levels. They have infiltrated our commercial networks, our communication systems, even our educational databases. Vraxis dismissed the concern with a wave. Primitive intelligence gathering. They seek to understand us before they surrender. It changes nothing. Their ships cannot match ours. Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Let them study. Let them understand the magnitude of their defeat. But 6 months after New Hebron, the first Mordathian officer vanished. Commander Thexelon, who had personally ordered the bombing of the colony's medical centers, disappeared from a secure facility on the Mordathian homeworld. No alarms triggered. No security breaches detected. He simply ceased to exist, as if reality had erased him. 3 weeks later, another officer involved in the attack died when his personal transport exploded. The failure appeared mechanical, but investigators found microscopic evidence of tampering so sophisticated it bordered on invisible. The pattern continued, slowly, methodically, without haste but without pause. Humans did not strike military targets. They did not attack Mordathian colonies. They went after individuals with surgical precision. Each target had participated directly in the New Hebron massacre. Each death was documented, the evidence of their crimes presented posthumously to Mordathian media outlets. General Vraxis finally understood his error when he found a message waiting in his private quarters, in a location that should have been physically impossible for humans to access. The text appeared in flawless Mordathian script, translated with perfect cultural nuance. We are coming for you. Not today. Perhaps not this year. But we are patient. We have identified everyone who participated in the murder of our people. We know where you sleep. We know what you eat. We know the names of everyone you love. You will spend however much life remains to you looking over your shoulder. And when we finally reach you, you will understand that humans do not wage war the way you do. We do not conquer. We do not occupy. We erase those who harm us from existence. Completely, permanently, without exception. Sleep well, General, while you still can. General Vraxis stood in his command center, surrounded by security measures that would have protected him from any conventional threat. Force fields hummed with energy. Automated defense systems tracked every molecule of air. Elite guards, warriors who had survived 100 battles, maintained constant vigilance. Yet the message haunted him, not because of what it promised, but because of what it revealed about an enemy he had catastrophically underestimated. Across the Mordathian collective, fear spread like a virus. Officers who had participated in the New Hebron operation began to disappear or die under circumstances that defied explanation. The humans did not send armies. They sent something far more terrifying. Individuals who moved like shadows, who learned patience from the endless void of space itself, who treated revenge not as passion, but as sacred duty. Captain Drexen received a private communication on a secure channel that should have been impossible to breach. The voice spoke perfect Mordathian, but the accent carried traces of something else, something human. Captain, our records show you argued against the attack on New Hebron. You advocated for negotiation. You were overruled. We know this. We also know you followed your orders and participated in the bombardment. You fired on civilian shelters. Children died from your actions. Drexen felt his heart racing. I am a soldier. I follow commands. We understand chain of command, the voice replied, devoid of anger or hatred, which somehow made it more frightening. We understand duty. We also understand that orders do not absolve responsibility. You made a choice. You will answer for that choice. But because you opposed the attack initially, we offer you something we have not offered others. Turn yourself into the Galactic Tribunal. Testify truthfully about what happened. Accept judgment. Do this, and we will consider your debt paid. Refuse, and we will find you. It might take 5 years. It might take 50. But we will find you. The captain looked at his family portrait displayed on his desk. His mate, his offspring. They represented everything he fought to protect. If I surrender, what happens to them? Nothing. We do not punish families for the crimes of individuals. We are not monsters, Captain. We are simply people who refuse to let murder go unanswered. You have 30 days to decide. The communication ended. Drexen sat in silence, understanding fully now what Ambassador Tharos had tried to warn the Assembly about. Humans did not wage war like other species. They waged something deeper, something that transcended military conflict. They waged accountability that stretched across time itself. 3 weeks later, Captain Drexen walked into the Galactic Tribunal on the neutral world of Sanctum Prime. His testimony, broadcast across known space, detailed every aspect of the New Hebron massacre. He named names. He provided evidence. He accepted full responsibility for his actions while explaining the context that led to them. When asked why he chose to surrender, his answer resonated across 1,000 worlds. Because they were right. We murdered innocents and called it military necessity. We destroyed families and labeled it pacification. I followed orders, yes, but I still made a choice. I chose to fire those weapons. And these humans, these beings we called primitive and weak, they understood something my civilization had forgotten. Justice cannot exist without accountability. Not collective punishment, but individual responsibility. Every person who pulls a trigger, who issues an order, who enables harm, must answer for what they have done. I am here to answer. His testimony broke something fundamental in the Morgathian collective. Other officers began to surrender. Some fled to distant sectors, choosing exile over the patient hunt they knew would come. General Vraxis remained defiant, surrounded by his guards, protected by technology, convinced his power would shield him. He was wrong. 18 months after New Hebron, human operatives reached him. Not through force, not through advanced weapons. They simply understood him better than he understood himself. They knew his routines, his habits, his psychology. They knew he inspected the barracks every morning at the same hour. They knew he always tasted his aides' food first as a security measure. They knew he trusted his personal guards absolutely. They had spent a year befriending one of those guards. Not through bribery or coercion, but through genuine connection. They learned about the guard's sick child and arranged for medicine unavailable in Morgathian space. They asked nothing in return. They simply helped because they could. When the guard finally understood who had helped him, when he learned what General Vraxis had done at New Hebron, he made his own choice. The general died not in battle, but in custody. Arrested by his own people, based on evidence the humans had spent 18 months gathering. He faced trial. He heard testimony from the 3,000 survivors of New Hebron. He listened to recordings of children's voices cut short by his orders. He saw images of families erased from existence by his commands. The tribunal found him guilty of 370 counts of murder, 17,000 counts of attempted murder, and violations of the accords that governed warfare. His sentence, life imprisonment under conditions that ensured he would remember every day what he had done. But the humans were not finished. They tracked down every officer, every pilot, every soldier who had participated in the attack. Some surrendered. Some faced trial. A few died resisting capture. The pursuit took 7 years. 7 years of patient, methodical, absolutely relentless pursuit. And when the last individual responsible had been held accountable, when justice had been served for every single person who died at New Hebron, the humans stopped. They did not conquer Mordathian territory. They did not demand reparations. They did not seek dominance. They simply withdrew, their promise fulfilled. Ambassador Tharos addressed the Galactic Assembly one final time on this matter. His words carried the weight of vindication, but also sorrow. I warned you. My ancestors warned us all. Humans do not fight wars for territory or resources. They fight for something deeper, something most species abandoned when they reach the stars. They fight for the principle that every life matters, that every death demands an answer, that justice is not negotiable, not optional, not subject to political convenience. They will cross decades, cross galaxies, cross any obstacle to ensure that those who harm their people face consequences. Not collective punishment, but individual accountability. This is not strength born from weapons or technology. This is strength born from absolute moral certainty. And that, honored delegates, is why you should never, ever provoke them. Because they will not stop. They will not forget. and they will make you answer for what you have done, no matter how long it takes.